Okay, we are going to be looking at challenge 1 here. And the first thing that I would suggest that you do is please struggle for a little while before you actually watch this video. If you watch this video, it talks you quite thoroughly through challenge 1, which might make it too easy. It's always good to have kind of a problem-solving mindset. So struggling with the challenge for a little while is a good thing, and you should do that in the future as well. Otherwise, you're going to be just losing some learning along the way. We want you to enjoy this as well as troubleshoot. Okay? So challenge 1 says you need to create a program in which the user moves a sprite around, up, down, left, and right, using the appropriate arrow keys. You will need to use other motion blocks in order to point or move in different directions. So first of all, prior to this, I just had you create a really quick script that said when you press the right arrow, you move 10 steps. Now, what some of you might assume, so here's Scratch right here, is if we just drag exactly what that script said. So when we press the right arrow, we move 10 steps. That works great. So I'll press the right arrow, and as you can see, my little cat is moving to the right. Now, what some of you might assume is if we do the same thing with the left arrow, so I just want to show you something that won't work before I show you what might work. If we just press left arrow, that he moves 10 steps as well. The problem here, so I'm going to press the left arrow next, is that he doesn't move to the left. He continues to move in the direction that he's pointing. Okay, so one thing you can do, and there's two ways to kind of go about this. And another thing you need to know about Scratch is that the simpler your programming, the better off you will be. So some people create really complicated things that make their task work, and that's fine. But the simpler you can make it look and operate, the better off you are. And the second thing that you need to know is that you can make a variety of programs do the same thing. So if you don't do something the way I'm doing it, that is 100% fine. That's actually being a problem solver. So I'm going to show you two ways of doing this. The first is with pointing in certain directions. So I'm going to have, when I click the right arrow, move 10 steps. And let me just show you, for example, when I click the left arrow, before he moves 10 steps, what I want him to do is actually, so if we go into the motion buttons here, I want him to point to the left. So there's something here called point in direction. And if you click on the number 90, you can actually change the arrow. So I'm going to have him point to the left and then move 10 steps. So what you can see right now is if I press the left arrow, he changes direction. Sure, he goes upside down. That's okay. We can talk about that later. But he moves to the left. Okay. The problem now is if I start pressing the right arrow just says move 10 steps. So if I press the right arrow, since he's pointing to the left, he's going to continue to move forward 10 steps. So as you can imagine, you're going to have to change the direction over and over and over. So for the right arrow, you need him to point in the direction right. For the up arrow, so I'm not going to do all this for you. I'll just kind of talk you through the last little bit here. So for the up arrow, you are obviously going to be pointing in a different direction, which I will have you figure out yourself, and then moving 10 steps. Okay. The second way you can do this, and there's multiple ways you can do this, but another way you can do this is by actually changing what is your X and Y coordinates. Okay. So first of all, I just need to reset my guy here. So don't worry about this at the moment. There we go. Okay. So another way you can do this is with your X and Y axes. So as you notice here, here's a button that says change X by 10. Now, as you know, X is the horizontal axis in math. And if you change it by a positive number, that would be going to the right. If you change it by a negative number, it would be going to the left. And there's also a button here called changing Y by a certain amount. So if you had Y being a positive number, what direction would it go? It would go up. If you have X being, or Y being a negative number, he would go down. So another way you can kind of think about this, and I'll just kind of get you started with this one as well, is if you do when I press the right arrow, that it changes X by 10. And if I press the left arrow, it changes X by negative 10. hopefully you can anticipate what's going to happen. Okay, so let me just show you the left and the right arrow. So if I press right, he's moving to the right by 10 units. If I press left, he's moving negative by 10 units. So see if you can make it so that he moves up, down, left, and right by using the X or Y coordinates. So that's your alternative, okay? And that is it for this particular lesson.